How about this? Millions of borrowers across the country have had all or some of their student loans eliminated by the federal government. Now, getting tens of thousands of dollars in student debt canceled isn't guaranteeing an immediately better financial life for Americans. So far, about 1 million people have had their loans eliminated through the federal government's Public Service Loan Forgiveness Plan, with balances averaging about $72,000 when they are finally cleared. Nearly 2 million more have had their student debt erased through programs for disabled borrowers or under-income-driven repayment plans. Now, in interviews, the borrowers who have had their loans wiped away say, the act has given them more freedom or helped them sleep a little easier at night, but it hasn't been a panacea for all their financial stresses. Researchers found that borrowers whose debt was forgiven experienced almost no change in their credit scores, likely because they were taking on new loans that countered the benefit of the old ones disappearing. Many also already had the bump when the federal government paused certain student loan payments during the old pandemic, potentially limiting the impact now that their balances are erased. So if you're getting your loans forgiven and that doesn't help change your lifestyle, this is what I read into that. How bad must things really be out there if that's the case? And I bet my next guest has something to say about this. Please welcome to the show Rebecca Walser. Rebecca, I read that story and thought, how bad must it be if you're getting 72,000 wiped off your plate and you're still not seeing a better lifestyle?
It reminds me of that story, Scott. There's a Learning Channel story, the lottery, right? You win the lottery, and a majority of these people, 5 years post-lottery winnings, are basically broke, and some are even filing for bankruptcy. So it's literally a situation where you can give someone money, but if you don't give them the financial lessons, if they don't have the financial wherewithal to actually be able to handle that money in a different way than they previously handled money, then no, they're not going to have any changes. And that's exactly what we're seeing. All of those numbers that you just talked about, that doesn't even include the SAVE program that, the Biden administration is in litigation right now with the federal government over, because that's a whole nother program that he's trying to get through. And there's already been multiple billions of dollars that have been forgiven through that program.
I don't want to go down this path, but I'm gonna. It's a wider indictment on the moral and ethical fiber of the country when this has not been wholeheartedly dismissed. Just like taking all the cops off the street is going to make you safer. That should have been wholeheartedly dismissed. These are just not good ideas, and morally and ethically, they're wrong. And I think to myself, I said this I spoke last week in Middle America, and this is well received because these people still are blessed with the burden of common sense, by the way. If I don't pay my mortgage, what do? They take away my house, right? If I don't pay my car loan, what do? They take away my car. I say this, if we're going to be forgiving all of these loans, you got to give your degree back. I mean, is that ridiculous? And anything you got with that, because it's not fair to get something for nothing. Because now we're setting a precedent that that's okay, and I just can't stand that.
Yeah, it goes beyond us setting the precedent, Scott, that it's okay. It's us basically tactfully saying we're okay with socialism. When banks do this and they take on too much risk and their risk management department wasn't strong enough and they made bad loans and those loans go bad and then we bail them out by taxpayer money, that we call that moral hazard. When people don't have to reap the consequences of their action, that by definition is something called moral hazard. So when we go to schools that are for-profit schools that are not good schools and they manipulate us and they lie to us and tell us there's these great jobs coming and yet there's no great jobs coming, instead of attacking the schools and the advertising that does that, we simply bail out and buy out the loans and forgive the loans, then we give schools moral hazard. So here's what's happened. We have been slowly turning up the boiling water in the pot of frogs to socialism, and we say it's okay because we need our banks bailed out. We need our schools bailed out. We need our student loans bailed out. Guess what, American public? The government is the creator of nothing. It does not create money. That money has to come from a private source somewhere. So when you say yes to all these things because it personally affects you, you're saying yes to socialism. socialism. We are saying yes to socialism. Let the government handle all of our problems because we are not willing to take it on ourselves. And that's the problem. That's the hazard.
You're exactly right. And it starts at the top, because you know what the top is? I don't know about you, but every time we do get a hiccup in the markets like we had 2 weeks ago, everybody comes screaming for the Fed to cut rates.
Yep,
why does the Fed have to, why can't the market go down? Why does the Fed have to be there to stop it from going down all the time? The Fed or this idea that they're going to make sure that it doesn't happen drives me crazy, because then we have that problem again where there really isn't a risk. I mean, it must be nice to be a stockbroker, because all you have to do is put them in the market. It's not going down. The Fed's not going to let it happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier to do my job and be on the bull bandwagon and say the Fed will bail us out and everything is fine and just ride this for the long term and never do anything. But the truth is, Scott, you will pay the piper. We are not God.
Yes.
We cannot create money without inflation and repercussions. And that is why the world is moving away from the U.S. dollar in the United States to the BRICS nations, to the East. We no longer have unipolarity. We are in multipolarity. It is here. It is amongst us. And wake up, America, because we are losing our global status with just spending our dollar however we want with no repercussions. The repercussions will come, period.
Yeah, you're right. It's because when you start to get in front of or screw with the laws of nature, which we always are doing, we're manipulating an outcome all the time. This is what that equity word is, right? Everybody has to start at a different level, so we manipulate everybody getting across the line at the same time. But when that's the case, you're screwing with Mother Nature. Right, and she always wins. When the snapback happens, it's much more painful than if you had just let the market done its job. Correct? You got 10 seconds.
Absolutely. We are in a debt bubble cycle starting, and the Fed cutting rates is actually going to make the yen carry trade problem worse. It's going to strengthen the yen against the dollar. That's not what we want. This is a problem. Wake up, people.
That's awesome to have you on. Can't wait to see you again next Monday. All right, Rebecca. Thanks for coming on. Rebecca Walser coming to us from Tampa, Florida. All right, by now you